Hello friends and welcome back to this series again. Thank you for the amazing response that I got for the first part of my bookmark application. And so I decided why don't we add more features to it. We will be handling quite a few things in this part, and to start with, why don't we first do a little bit of refactoring. I like the idea of first developing something very quickly, get some feedback, and then once you have that initial feedback and you feel confident about what you have written, whether it is through your own testing or by showing it to your friends or peer group, you can look at structuring the code later on. Okay, so now, like in this page, I know there is room for refactoring or structuring my code better. So we will do that along with a small change where we will also start showing the images of the bookmarks. So if I go to my database, these are the three bookmarks we have right now. These three entries are visible here. However, if you see the image URL, there's one entry which doesn't have an image and the rest two does have an image. And I want those images to be visible here. Okay, so let's get started. So we have a bookmark listing. So I'll go inside resources, JS, pages, bookmark, and then list. Now this page is pretty much doing everything, regarding the listing of the bookmark. However, it is very common to have this card being a component in itself. So if you see, we have a map function, and inside this, typically this will go inside a component. Whenever you are doing a map, believe me, there is room to make that repeatable markup into a component in itself. Okay, so why don't we do that? Now you may say that we can do it in two ways. One is that we have one parent component, which is bookmark list, and then we have bookmark item, right? So bookmark list starts with an UL and it gets all the bookmarks. And then there is a list component as well, which does the listing or rendering of individual bookmark. So we can do that. But why do we need to do that right now? I don't see the bookmark list being repeated anywhere else. So we will do lazy refactoring. We will only refactor things when we feel that we are going to repeat it, or maybe we are making something better in that component. So let's start with just this. I have this li. Entire li will go inside a component. So I'll have a new file called bookmark slash let's just say the name will be bookmark item slash index.tsx. Okay, so I have copied the markup over here. It is going to complain a little bit about this whole thing, which is completely fine. I understand, because it is not getting the index, it is not getting the inertia link and the bookmark, which is completely understandable. So let me first add all the missing imports. So we have Ziggy, we have inertia link. So those problems are solved. Now bookmark, obviously I'm going to get it as a prop. Okay, so what I'm going to do is first define an interface, props, right? And if we come over here in this page, you can see I have said that this page receives bookmarks, which is an array, and that array can be of type any. But ideally, I would want to define the bookmarks structure, right? And here I am expecting a single bookmark, something like maybe I bookmark, right? So how do we do that? Let's just create that first. So inside JS, we will have something called contracts. And inside contracts, I'll have iBookmark.ts file. It's an interface, iBookmark, right? And I'll need to obviously export iBookmark, and let me add all the properties which we know are going to come with bookmark based on our database structure. Okay, so let me quickly do that. So I have these many properties in here. So this is my iBookmark. I can now import it, and in here I will say this is a functional component where I am expecting the props, and I can now import the bookmark. So a few errors should have gone. However, it says that iBookmark is not assignable to parameter type string. Okay, what is it? If I do id bookmark dot, so now as you can see, immediately I'm getting some benefits by adding that interface, which is if I do bookmark dot, I get all the properties which I have defined in the interface. Okay, I haven't defined id, my bad. This is definitely required. It's a number. So let me do id. Okay, I'll have to see whether it is working properly or not. Ideally it should. Now we are left with index. I can make this as bookmark.id because I know that is unique enough. And one last change over here is, instead of array of any, I will do iBookmark. This is done. Now, why don't we remove this entire thing and instead do bookmark item. And now I'll get a hint which prop I need to do. So bookmark is required, and over here I can just send the bookmark. So I will get rid of index because this is of no use anymore. Or you know what, I think, let me see if it complains. I think it will still complain about the index. Let me refresh and see first of all whether it is working or not. Okay, everything seems to be working fine, and it is going into the individual pages as well. So I think the refactor is working properly. It hasn't broken anything. However, we are still getting this unique key thingy. So let's fix that. Key equals index, which means ideally then I don't need this key over here. It's redundant because the map is running over here. Let me see, refresh. Yes, there are no errors. So we are good. So we have done one level of refactoring where the listing page now is calling this function which is responsible for rendering the bookmark item. And over here now I want to display the image, right? I want to show the image if it is there. So why don't we do one thing quickly, call md10 maybe div. Okay, and now this div will render only when bookmark dot image URL is not equal to empty, something like this. And in here I will have image. Now, source will be bookmark dot image URL. I can have the title over here as well, bookmark dot title. Now let me refresh. Okay, I screwed up the layout, but I can still fix it. However, you can see this is fine because there is no image and the rest of them are showing images. So maybe I can do a width equals 100% so that it doesn't fix its width. Yeah, I think this is fine. Okay, I may even later on choose to have a placeholder image if there are no images for a post, so that the layout still looks proper. Okay, but yeah, I mean, this is fine for now. I need to have an a tag to it so that I can click on the image. It doesn't make sense, so let me quickly do that. And I made a mistake. It shouldn't be a tag, it should be inertia link. Everything should be inertia link for me to get the SPA effect. All right, so this is done. I think we have made our first level of refactoring where we are now showing the images. That is one level of improvement. And also we have used a little bit of TypeScript magic because we have added our interface inside the contracts folder, which is iBookmark. It is defining what are the different properties in our bookmark, and the list is now able to understand the array of bookmarks, right? And our bookmark item obviously is expecting that I bookmark kind of an object, and hence we are able to deal with all these properties, which is bookmark.id, bookmark title, so on and so forth. So basically, this kind of concludes our first ticket, which I had decided to work upon, which is need to show the image preview of every bookmark if there is any. Also need to refactor the listing to have a component for each bookmark item. So again, as per our best practice, we will do npm run production to get the final build files. And in the meantime, let's just look at what are the different files which we have committed. So let's get rid of the public. That is something which we'll have to commit. Fresh over here. The minified file is created, right? Yes. So I don't need to see that file. I will anyways not understand what it is. So public folder can go easily. There's no problem. We have a new component which we broke down from the listing page. So this is good to go. We added this contract. Good to go. And we have made certain changes in this page. What are those? We have removed the li, changed it to a bookmark item, and yes, these are some of the changes which we have done. So yes, everything is fine. Messages worked on displaying of images, and also added the bookmark contract. All right, so now let's look at the next feature which we are going to work upon. So the next thing that we are going to handle is the situation where in one particular URL, if the OG data is not properly available. So what we are trying to do here is, let me show you a demo. This is the ticket, issue number 2, where some articles, if I copy this link, right? So if I try to add a bookmark from that particular URL, click here again. Okay, I don't know. But if I try to add this, let me remove this UTM source as well. And if I hit enter, you can see that I don't have any image. And that is the reason if I go to the list of bookmarks, this particular bookmark doesn't have an image. So I want to fix this problem. And it says that the Twitter image is present in this URL. So basically what we are trying to do is we will check that if the OG is not available and if the Twitter image is available, then we will use it. But obviously, if there is nothing available, what can we do? We may choose to later on have a default placeholder image, but that's not something which we're handling right now. So let's get started. I'll go into Visual Studio Code. In here, inside our apps, HTTP controllers, bookmark controller, inside our get preview data function, we are getting this entire data, right? So what I am trying to do here is I'm planning to get the data, the final data, which we want to put into our database from a service. And the service will internally use Open Graph library to fetch the data, do all kinds of checks and balances, and then send me the final data. So the controller is very lean. It just calls the service, sends the data, get backs the data, and does an insert. Okay, so let's look at how we can do that. So I'll create a file called a service class, rather, inside the services folder called bookmark service.php. We'll have a namespace of app/services. In here, our public function will be get bookmark data. We expect a URL which we will get from the validated post data, and then we will call our open graph call. So let's just say in here, first we get this, okay, open graph. So in here, instead of post data link, we will send URL. Let's make it data equals this, and I'll show you what I am basically trying to do. So let me go to Tinker and see. Okay, I have an example, so maybe I'll first clean it up and use this URL in here and make a call. I basically want you to show the data which is available. So here you can see I have title, URL, site name, but no image. However, we do have an image in the Twitter tag. So what am I trying to do? I am trying to look for the title, description, and image. Okay, so we have title, description, and image. Okay, and the basic idea is if the main title, the description, and the image is not present, look for the Twitter tag. And if the Twitter tag is present, send that back. If not, send empty. So what we will do here is, let's just say inside our controller, because we have this service now, we can inject that through dependency injection. Okay, I'll need to import it this class over here. What I can do inside the controller is say bookmark service, the name of the function, and post data link. Okay, so I'm sending the link after validation to this method inside our service. The service first makes an call to the open graph fetch function. Okay, and then let's just do something like data title equals this. We'll create this function, check property title data. Okay, I'll show you the function name. I mean, sorry, what the function does, but let's just first create this. Okay, so what am I doing? I'm saying that the title is something which is going to be returned by this check property, description being the same, image being the same. And then I create a private function. Obviously, the name will be check property. I'm thinking maybe check property is not the correct one. Get property data. Okay. I made a mistake. Yeah, this is the name of the function. It will take string $name and let's just say $data. I think this is an array, if I'm not wrong. Okay. And the first thing that it is going to do is it is going to check if the data name is equal to empty. Because if it isn't, then we may rather choose to return the data itself. Okay, so if it is equal to empty and is set $data. Now here's the trick. So we have Twitter : $name. Okay, why? I can look for image and there is a Twitter image. I can look for title. Where is it? Here. And we have our title here as well. And we can look for description where it has a description as well. So you can see it follows a pattern. So I'm sending title, description, and image. So it will check whether Twitter and then : that property exists, and it's a 3-level condition, but we'll have to do it, and the Twitter thing is not equals empty. Okay, so we have 3 levels of condition. We can do something like this to make you better understand, but yeah. So the first level, I don't know. I generally don't do this level of nesting, but okay, for now, let's keep it like this for ease of understanding. I think this is better, where And the ands are there, and I can just see the condition. So first things first, again, let's just say what we have done. Data name. So data properties title, if this is equal to empty, only then it will enter. And the Twitter property should be present and it should not be empty. Otherwise, we can just simply return whatever we got. Okay. So in here, if all these conditions are true, we can send this data. Okay. And I think this should be enough. The only thing is I need to return $data over here. So let's look at the flow again. We have our function inside the controller, which is get preview data. It will do the validation, send the URL to this function inside our service. What does this service do? This service calls the open graph fetch function, gets the data, and then it processes for these three properties: the title, description, and image, and finally returns that data. Okay, and then obviously whatever is the data, we do data title, data description, type, link, image, things like that. Right. So now let us try. Once again, I'll copy this function because URL, sorry, because this wasn't working previously. Hit enter. The data is too long for column image URL at row 1. Okay, this is a bummer. I think the image URL is way beyond the varchar limit of 255. Inside database, migrations, bookmark, it's a string. Okay, so maybe what we need to do is make this a text field also, so that we don't face this problem again. But obviously we need to then refresh our migration. PHP artisan migrate, refresh, seed. Okay, so the good URLs are gone. And splash. Wow, it's a long image, but a nice one. So we have one bookmark, and now if I don't have that URL again, so I'll copy it from here. And this time we are getting the image. So if I save now, you can see we have this. Previously, we were not getting this. And the only reason for that was we didn't have that check in our code, which we have done now inside our service to fetch the data from Twitter if it is present. So yes, I think this is one more improvement in our application now, where if there are sites which I want to bookmark and they don't have the OG information but the Twitter information is present, we can still rely on that. So let me quickly now commit our code. So I'll run the npm run production, and let's just see whatever files we have changed. Public we will not need to touch right now. In the migrations we have made one change. It's a very important one because we have changed it to text. Okay, this is fine. It can be staged. We have a new service class. Okay, the controller has changed. We imported the service, injected it, and then did this. Okay, one more thing, your sequence of injection really doesn't matter because we are directly referencing the variable, right? So request, for example, is here. I could have made it as the second dependency injection, but yeah, it won't make any difference. Okay, so everything is done. After npm run production, it understood that there are no real changes because the previous version of the file and the newer one has no difference because all the changes I made was in PHP. Handling the case of no data, no image data for some URLs. service added. All right, so commit is done, and I'll push this later. But so yes, one more ticket done, which is regarding the handling of URLs. And in the next video, we will look at how we can have an animation when the data is being fetched from OG, because it does take time to fetch the information. To get the loading state in place for our form here, we need to be able to understand when the API call is made and when the API call returns back something. So in Inertia, there are certain events which are available. They are kind of callbacks which we can hook into and get appropriate results. So let me open up my code. And so which page do we need to go into? This is bookmark at, right? So inside our resources, we go into JS, pages, bookmark, add index.tsx. So in here, now because this is TypeScript, I will be able to get a lot of hinting around it. So let me open up this method. It says it takes a URL, a data property, and then options. And this options is of type visit options. So what is there with us in visit options? So you can see there are quite a few options available to us, along with things like preserve scroll, preserve state. But the ones which we are interested in is on start and on finish. We could have done on success as well, because it gives us the page um, object as an argument. But let's just say if there is a case that we don't have a success, we have an error. So we want to basically show a loading state when the Ajax call starts, and it goes away when the Ajax call ends. Okay. So in here, my understanding is that if I add this new property, I can hook into on start. Yes, TypeScript is allowing me to do that. It gives me all those hints which are required. So on start, on finish. Okay. And let's just initially do simple consoles and see what is happening. Okay. So this is my start loading and this is end loading. Okay. And let me refresh my page, go to my website and take this URL. Okay. Okay, I'll need to see why these messages are coming. Ideally, I would want that no warnings are coming up. So I'll do that, but let me first focus on what we are doing. So I hit enter. It says start loading. It's doing something. It's fine. And then we have end loading. So you can see there was a good amount of wait, but if we have that proper animation in place, the user will know that something is happening. So we have been able to capture the appropriate states. And now the only thing which I need to do is play some kind of animation for the user to understand. To show some kind of loading animation, why don't we install Font Awesome library, which allows us to use nice looking icons. Now, if you are doing normal CSS based development, the installation is a little different. However, if we are trying to use it with React, what you can do is follow this step. So we will install these three packages as described in the documentation. Okay, so the packages are installed. However, I suddenly start getting this error which says, Ziggy is not installed. Now that is weird. Let me restart my npm watch. Alright, so I think I have some problem with my node modules folder and we may have to install it again. So let me do that first and then I will come back. Okay, so I don't know what exactly happened, but when I removed my entire node modules folder and reinstalled everything, it seems to work properly. So never mind, things happen. The only thing which I need to confirm is that the 3 libraries actually got installed. So package.json. In here we have these 3. Okay, so we are good. Let's look at the guide. So I'll come directly over here. It shows this kind of an example. Okay, we will be using this along with there was one thing. Yeah, you see, so I have this component where I am sending the type of icon as a prop. So let's just see how we can do this. Okay, I can have that font awesome component directly over here, but what I feel is that the loading animation or the loader is going to be a very common feature across all my screens, and hence it's a good idea to create a common component out of it. So loader slash index.tsx. In here we will import font awesome icon. Like so. And because I'm going to use the loader, I'll import the FA sync from SVG icons. Okay. So with this done, I need to tell what kind of an icon I need. Like so. And now again, one more cool thing about TypeScript. I need a spinner, right? So if you see, I'll get a lot of options in terms of what I can send in here. And let me see what are the options available. Right, I have spin. So what kind of value is it expecting? It expects a boolean, so that's fine. And I also want size to be a little bigger. Okay, I have size, and you can see the beauty of TypeScript again is if I do this equals, it gives me a list of all the sizes which I can work with. So I'll do 5x. Let me see what is the speed if I can include something. Speed is what? It's a number. Okay. Speed is a number. Let's just ignore that for now. We'll play around with speed later. But anyway, so we have a component which is responsible for showing a loading state. Why don't we have a state variable which keeps track of whether the loading should be visible or not? So a flag show loader, which by default is false, obviously. And what I will do is, now one thing which I made a mistake previously is the on finish, because I don't need that because we will be rendering a different component. I'm redirecting to a different page. So this is not at all required. So I'll just remove this, and on start, what I can do is just set the state to a loading state. Okay. So set state. I'll have the rest of the state as it is, comma, show loader will be true. So this is the only change which I'm making. And now In this form, this form is going to be conditional, obviously. State dot if my show loader, if that's true, then I will have my loader, else this form. And once I hit Control S, my prettier does all the formatting, and I have my loader in place. And if things are correct, I should be able to see a loader right now. So let me clear this up a bit. Go to bookmark, add, refresh my page. All right, so at least we have something to play around with. I won't say this is the best UI, but at least I have something for the user to understand that something is happening. So yeah, do pardon my designing skills, but at least functionality wise, we are now able to show a loader using Font Awesome library and using the flag to tell the user whether it is being processed or it has already processed. So yeah, that's about it. And now the next thing which we need to do is clear up some of the unwanted entries if the user doesn't save from here. So for example, if I don't if I don't hit the save button, right, then this entry is just sitting there. It doesn't have any value because if I don't save, as you can see, if I open the bookmarks in a new tab, it is not coming up. It will only come up when I do a save, right? So we need to clear those entries. So what I am planning to do is run a cron. That cron will pick up all the entries which are, let's say, older than maybe a day, right? And all those entries will get deleted from the database. Okay. So to delete the old entries, as I mentioned, we can write a cron and delete them. However, I found another nice way of dealing with this requirement. There's a package called Laravel Model Cleanup, a very simple and clean code which cleans up our models. So this is the package which I'm talking about. Now if we go here, we will see that basically what it allows us to do is inside a model, we can implement gets cleaned up, and it's an interface. So you need to add this function cleanup and have that configuration which tells how the model needs to be cleaned up. And as I said, I wanted to delete any model which is older than a day and it has to be inactive. So I think this is a good way to do the stuff. This package has, again, it's by Spatie, so there's no question about the popularity and stuff. So yeah, we can definitely use it. So let's go to the installation steps. First thing, I'll pull up the Composer package. It's Composer require. For some reason, it said locking to this. I hope the Ziggy package didn't disappear again. No. Okay. So far so good. We have installed the package. Now let's see what else we need to do. We need to publish the configuration file. So I'll just run that command. I have a new model-cleanup.php inside our config folder, right? So let's see what is there. So all models in this array that implement gets cleaned up will be cleaned. As simple as that, right? So what do we need to do? Our model is bookmark.php. So why don't we add that? I'll just import. So either you can add with the entire namespace, or you can just do the use statement and everything is fine. Okay. So I take this approach. So this is done. Now let's go to the documentation. Inside our console kernel, we can add this command. So I'll do that as well. Console kernel.php. So you can see in the documentation they have used the entire namespace. However, again, it's my personal preference. I can do something like, so when I'm reading the code, right, it's a little less information to deal with, because when I read it, just will read up as clean up models command. That's all I need to know. If I need to go deep, I can always see from where that class is coming up, and I can also go inside the command if I need to. So that's about it. I will run it hourly, not once a day, but rather hourly, and I will check for any model which is more than 24 hours old. And as the document says, we need to implement gets cleaned up. So why don't we do that? Inside my model, gets cleaned up, I import this, and obviously now I need to add this function. It's older than 1 day. Older than days. Does it have a older than days? Let me see. I need to import this class as well. What are the functions available? Older than takes number of days. This older than equals older than carbon instance. Okay, so there's no older than day. So older than days, and I can say 1. That's not a problem. Just wanted to ensure that I'm using the correct function. I'm not on PHP 8, so I'll for now just remove those things, because again, personal preference, nothing different is going to happen if I don't have that right now. So I just cleaned it up. I'm still not used to using those, so yeah, pardon me for that. But I guess we will have to get hold of them, because PHP 8 does have those stuff, and it's quite interesting. Okay. All right. So that's about it. I think we can now run the command. What is the cron command that we have? I think it was mentioned here. Yes, clean models. Okay. Let me open up the database first. So inside my database, there is only one inactive URL. Okay. So why don't we add one more just for the sake? So GitHub. Okay, so I got an error which says declaration of app models bookmark cleanup config must be compatible with that. That's a little strange. I'm not sure if the so cleanup config Spatie model cleanup config namespace is correct. That I'm sure. Is this creating a problem because the void was removed? I'm not sure. Let me see. I will try it once more. In the meantime, was that added to the database any which ways? So 14, no, it wasn't. So it got stuck in between. I think when it was trying to create the instance, that was the time when it ran into that error. Okay, so it was the void which was creating a problem. Again, I need to quickly brush up my skills with PHP and see what's new with PHP 8 and how to deal with things. But yeah. Anyways, so we have a new entry obviously in our database 15, and we have now 2 inactive records. So what is the expectation then? So PHP artisan, what is the command? Model cleanup, right? Model clean models, right? Okay, so clean models. If I run this, the models should get clean. Okay, and as you can see, it deleted 14 records. So I've done a big mistake here. Let's go to the listing, and everything is wiped out. Why? Because except for this inactive record, everything was more than 1 day stale, right? And we didn't have the condition to say that you need to delete the records which are more than 1 day and they are inactive. So our query was wrong. So let's see how we add the condition to our configuration. So this is our configuration, right? And it just cleaned up everything which was more than 1 day old. And so the next thing which we need to do is add a scope. The scope is a closure. It will take function query and we get the query object. So inside the query, we can do where is active 0. Okay, now obviously the data is gone, so I'll have to create a few entries and we'll have to fake it up a bit. But yeah, we'll still do it so that you understand it properly. Okay, this took time. Let me open up some other URLs. So obviously I'll share my own website over here. And while that is happening, I'll just open up one more. Just bear with me a bit. And I'm just creating that scenario so that you can understand properly. All right, so we have 4 records. If I see in the database, they are all active and they're all created today. So which means if I now run the model again, obviously 0 records will get deleted. But I want to fake a condition where let's just say everything is 11. So I'll keep 1 as, let's just say 09, 08, 10, one more 09, and one more 08. Okay. But out of this, let's just say this one is inactive, the third one, okay, the 10th, or maybe not this one. Let's do this one as inactive. So what we are expecting now is that only these 3 entries should remain, because both these 2 entries are more than a day old, because as you have seen, today is 11th of December, the day when I'm recording this video. So anything which is more than 24 hours and they are inactive will get deleted. So why don't we run the command again? Before that, just see, we have 3. Okay, this should ideally remain and these 2 should go away from the database. So I'll run the command again, and if everything is done properly, it deletes 2 records, all the inactive ones go away, and we have 3 active over here. So yes, this is how I decided to clean up the models which we had lying around in the database. We could have written a cron, but I felt this way of doing thing is so clean, so nice to handle, and we don't need to write too much code in terms of writing a cron where there's a query and then delete and stuff, right? It's just there inside the model, so when anyone is going through the model, they will understand there is a cleanup thing going on this model, and what is the condition is obviously there in your face. All right, so we have made quite a lot of progress in our series. So while we move ahead, it's a good time to commit our code. So as always, npm run production, and while it is creating the JavaScript file and the CSS file, let's review the code we have changed. So composer.json has a new entry, so I'm also locking the file. Package.json, right? Okay, we have font awesome and all those stuff, can do that. So this is from the loader related code that we had added. We haven't committed it, so we should do that now. This is the loader component, so I'll add that. Okay, the main.js file is ready, so why don't we add that as well? Then what else? We have kernel.php where we added these 2 lines, so it can go. Bookmark.php, these are all the changes which we did, so again this can go as it is, and obviously this is the configuration. So everything is set. Message is required, right? Our message is here, just commit. I'll do the push later on, but yeah, that's about it right now. In the next part, what we are going to do is look at how we can capture the views of a bookmark. So what I'm trying to do is, when this bookmark is listed over here, right, I would like to have a go-to link over here. One is obviously going into the details of the bookmark. Oh, did I just stop things? No. I don't know what happened. So just refresh. Okay. Anyways, I think, yeah, so I hadn't refreshed the page and the production file was created. So it was looking at the wrong file. Okay. So yes. So what I want to do is, as a user, I can click on the image or on the title to look at the details of the bookmark, or I can have an icon over here. Clicking on that should basically load up this article, right? Which is being bookmarked. So we want to achieve that. Along the lines, we would also like to see how many users opened that link after adding that into a bookmark, right? So if the link is useful for me, maybe I want to see how many times I have viewed it. So that's the reason I want to add that functionality. We will do that in the next feature. To capture the views or the view count of individual bookmarks, one thing which I'll have to do at first is obviously create a column in the bookmarks table so that we can capture the information. So let's see what we have in our bookmarks table. We have the title, description, our type, URL, image URL, user ID, is active, and the dates, right? The timestamps. So why don't we have a view, the count stored in here as views column? So to do that, I'll open up the create bookmarks table migration file. And obviously, because I haven't gone to production yet, what I can do is add the column in the same migration file. But obviously, if you have gone live with something already, you'll have to create a new migration where you add a column rather than changing the existing one. So we have a views column and it defaults to 0. Let me see if I have unsigned integer. Yes, I do. So we will use that instead. Okay. And with this in place, obviously I need to rerun my migrations. So let me do that. Okay, so we have a few more dummy entries. I'll open up my website as well. And I have added my website to the list. Also, like we had done in our previous video, if I run clean models, oh, that's strange. I think this is happening because all of the created at are current ones. So that's fine. Let's just ignore them for now. But what I want to do here is have a column where I have the link to view the actual page rather than the detail. Okay, so once I click on that, it will open up a new tab. Okay, obviously I don't want the user to go away from the application, so I'll open up a new tab and the link will be opened in that particular tab. So let's get started. I'll go inside my web.php file and I'll create a new route, which will be a get URL. Okay, so the URL is bookmark, redirect, and then the bookmark as a route model binding, like we have done in the view. And let's just name this as what, maybe redirect. Okay, we'll have to add the function name, or rather the function actual implementation. Okay, so this is right now in a testing phase. I'll just return the bookmark so that I can understand whether it is working properly or not. And now let's look at how we can have a visit text over here, which is a link to open up the page. So I'll come over to my bookmark item, which I had separated out, if you remember. And we have a row, we have column MD2, which has the thumbnail. Then we have 10 columns for the title and the description. Why don't we make it 8 and have one more column over here? I'll steal that top code where it is taking to the view, and I'll do this as redirect. Okay. And instead of inertia, we will have the A tag, the actual A tag, because this is not something which I want to have as an SPA feeling. It's a new tab. So that's done. And then obviously target equals underscore blank. Okay. I can see the visit is here. Maybe it's just one column. Yeah, I think this is fine. Right. So now if I click on this A tag, it opens up a new tab and it does return me the bookmark data. So we have obviously been able to get the basic thing in place. Now what do we need to do? We need to first of all increase the view count, and then we need to redirect the user to the URL. That's about it, right? So why don't we do that? Go to the controller. I'll have db table. I'll import it, the class name. Now obviously I can do bookmark. Okay, this is completely fine. I'll do where id bookmark id, and then we have a method increment. Okay, this is fine, completely fine. However, the only thing is tomorrow if for some reason I change the name of my table, right? By the way, it should have been bookmarks. So this is completely fine, but if tomorrow I change the table name, I will be updating the table property in the model, and any place where we are using the ORM, the eloquent objects, we should have no problem. But in here, because this is a string which is hard coded, we will be facing problem. So one thing which we can do is use bookmark get table. This is a function which is available with the model, so we can use it. It will give me the name of the table. So this is now kind of dynamic because I'm not prone to create any error if I change the table name. And then over here, the last piece is obviously redirect. Okay, so like so. So now let me just click on this link again and see what is happening. Okay, we have this. Now, what's the scene in the views? It has incremented. If I click close, refresh this page, hit it again, and refresh over here, you can see every time I'm redirected to that page, right? That event is being triggered and the view is incremented. So this is how I can have a count of the number of times this URL has been viewed, and maybe somewhere using font awesome. Let me see if I can do that. Oh, directly in the markup, which is somewhere like so. And okay, by the way, I need to change the interface. iBookmark views is a number. It's good to implement it because now I just realized that if I try to include the views, I will get that autocomplete. So views will be visible, obviously. However, I would also like to have some kind of. So this is how it is looking. However, I would like to add an icon as well so that I can show what exactly I'm trying to do. Now I had used the font awesome library to get the loading thing. So let me see how I had done that. In here I need to include these two, right? So this is something where I don't think I'll be reusing this icon, so I can directly get that. Do I have an I? Yes, I do. So I'll come over here and then I'll do FAI. And with this, now if I refresh, okay, I need some spacing between them. Um, Again, I think I can use a span to get that thing. Class name is margin right 3, or maybe padding. No, margin is fine, I guess. No, it didn't work. So does padding work? It is not working. Why is it? Padding right, maybe because, oh, I'm sorry. It's left, right. The direction is wrong, so how can I expect something from that? Right, so I think we are playing around with the values, which is not so important, but I am getting the views. And obviously now if I click on that and I come back to this page, I can see that it has been viewed 3 times. So obviously, I have plans to have certain kinds of reports in this application. For example, the very popular links over the last 7 days, last 1 month, things like that. So we have the information, and maybe, maybe we can even track how many times the same link was bookmarked and stuff. So yes, this is there. Now the only thing which I want to add to the series is the ability for the user to categorize his bookmarks into certain tags. So we will be looking at how we can add certain tags to an individual bookmark, and then we will be looking at completing this series. Hey, what's up, guys? Before I jump into the new functionality of adding tags to bookmarks, I thought it will be a good time to do some housekeeping stuff. So the first thing which I want you to go over is there's a new vulnerability found in my repository. So what happens is GitHub does vulnerability scans on all the projects based on some of the npm package vulnerabilities or even composer package vulnerabilities which are being discovered. And what it will do is, if it finds that same version of package in your package.json or package.log file and in your composer log file, it will give you this kind of a message stating that your repository has a vulnerability. Many times these are very simple warnings which you can mitigate very quickly because GitHub does most of the thing for you. And I think in this case as well, I'll have the same option. So let's see what it suggests. It says that ini package has a vulnerability. Let's go into it. It's a low severity notifications, but what it says is upgrade this to 1.3.6 or later. Okay, pretty simple. It gives a little bit of description of what is the problems and stuff. So the minimum that you can do is create dependabot security update. And what it will do is basically create a pull request for you. So if you merge that pull request into your application or into your repository rather, then you have the latest code update, and that's about it. So let's give it some time. It should be done in some time, and then I'll just need to merge it into master branch. So we have refreshed it, and you can see there's a new pull request. So let's go into that. Like it says bump ini from 135 to 138, and let's go into that, created by dependabot. So I'll just merge this, and yes, so the code has been updated and this is now done. Correct. So let's see, let's go back to our repository homepage. Yes, the notification is gone, and if we look at the commits, yes, we have this commit by the bot and then the merge request which is updating the code base. So what I need to do here is do a git pull. Okay, I have some changes in my public thing. Why don't I do git reset hard git pull, and it says there is a conflict in composer lock. Okay, let me open it up. Let's see what is the problem. App.js I'm not really worried about. Okay, it says there is a content hash issue, and this is for, okay, readme accept incoming changes. I think I had changed the readme there, so it was creating a problem. For this one, I think there's no major problem. I just need to accept someone's. Okay, so I'll just save this file and the composer lock, do a git status. Okay, git add before the vulnerability fix. I hope the spelling is correct. And now if I do git pull, sorry, not got pull, but git pull. Yes, so everything is up to date, and git log will show me this merge request and then my merge of the code bases. So everything is fine. What I can do is do npm run production to minify the JavaScript files for whatever we have done so far. And let's just see what's the state of our cards in here. So handling of URLs which doesn't have OG, I think we have completed it. We can mark it as complete. And we have done show loading animation. Unfortunately, I haven't updated it yet. And this one is something which we will need to do it in progress. Okay. Ticket number 4, which is ability for users to add tags to bookmarks. I have added basic details. So let's quickly go to that. What are we trying to do? We're saying that as a user, I should be able to categorize bookmarks using tags. I can add new tags if they don't exist. And if they do exist, then it should populate in an autocomplete. Pretty much, you'll find it in many places. So that's what I want to do. Some technical details. I want to use many-to-many polymorphic relationship while I'm defining my database structure and my models. And for the front end, I'm going to use this package. This drop down, it has quite a few features. I have seen my colleagues use this React.js package in our office project, so I know it's a very diverse and strong package to use for autocomplete. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so enough talking. Now let's get started. So as I said, for tagging, I need to use polymorphic many-to-many relationship to handle the requirement of tagging a single bookmark to maybe a multiple set of tags, and a tag who can be linked to multiple bookmarks. Now, if I go to the documentation, let me close up rest of the tabs, and inside the documentation, I go to ORM, relationships, polymorphic many-to-many. So the table structure for this needs to be that if I have tags, then the table for the primary model can be tags, obviously. It has ID, name, and all the stuff. And then there's this pivot table, okay, which we will use to determine the relationships. And that's going to be taggables. It will have the tag ID, taggable ID, which is the entity which is being tagged. In our case, it will be the bookmark, and the taggable type, which will be the name of the class. In our case, it will be app/model/bookmarks. So let's get started. I'll need to run npm run watch, although I don't think I'm going to do any JavaScript. So let's keep that as it is. So the first thing is PHP artisan make model. I need the migration controller for tag. Once that is done, I need to open it up. So create tags table. This is the migration file. If you're not aware, it's inside the main root folder, database migrations. Okay, I am assuming you know these things by now, so I'm kind of skipping them as I'm doing my work. So table, I need a string field which will be the name. And I want a count as well with the default value of 0 so that I can keep a track easily of how many times a tag is being used, because then I can have some popularity index for the tags and I can play around with stuff. Okay, so yes, this is my basic table for the tags model. Okay, now the next thing which I need to create is my table for tagables. Okay, if I go to the database, this is the documentation. This is the database table I need to create. To do that, we will create a blank migration file. I don't need a model for this. PHP artisan make migration. First parameter is the name of the migration, and create equals tagables. This is the name of the table. So I'll open up the migration file again. So this is our tagables thing. I don't need the timestamp, obviously, because there is no model, so there is no concept of having a created date and an updated date. I don't think it is necessary, so I'm just skipping it out. If you want to keep that information, then maybe you can use a model for this. Okay, again, it's completely subjective how you want to architect your application, but as I said, I don't see a need, so I'm not doing it right now. But that doesn't really mean that no one can do it. Table has an ID field, that's fine. I'm going to reference the tag ID, so it's a foreign key, a foreign ID, tag underscore ID. Then I need the taggable ID. This is going to be an unsigned big integer because the tag field, the bookmark field table, will have an ID field which is unsigned big integer. And that is the ID which we are going to reference here. So unsigned big integer taggable ID. The last one can be string taggable type. Okay, with this, we have created our database, and now we can migrate to look at what is the table structure. Okay, so I have SQL Pro here. Now let me do PHP artisan migrate. So these tables are created. If I now refresh my SQL Pro, I have a tags column, table rather, which has ID, name, and count. I have tagables. So now we can try to create a tag and see if we are able to get this to work. Okay, so I have Tinkerwell with me, and I have purchased the license. It is a beautiful application which I strongly recommend if you are doing a lot of Laravel development. It allows you, or rather helps you, to quickly write a lot of code and play around with before you actually get into the implementation. So I'll show you how things are done. Let's just say we are creating a tag. App models tag. So name is, let's just say, Laravel. And now, can I create this, or is it going to create a problem? Let me see. I think it is creating some kind of a problem. Your composer dependencies require a PHP version greater than this. You are running 7.3. That's a little weird. I think I have 7.4. I had to make a little bit of configuration changes for it to work. I think my PHP version was not working properly. And now it says I can't create a tag, and that makes me believe that I have a problem with my model, which is I have the guarded property as empty now. So now this should work. Yes, I have a new tag, which is Laravel. If I go to the database, I can see, okay, unfortunately I have two. Never mind. And now I should have, wow, this is a little bit of a problem. I think it is executing multiple times. But what I basically wanted you to show was, if let's just say I have a bookmark equals bookmark find 12. Okay, I don't have an ID as 12. What is something which I can use? Okay, I have 12. 12 and 11, I can work with it, right? So I have this, and let's just say I want to add a tag to it. Okay, so how do I go about doing it? So the first thing which I need to do is define a relation in my bookmarks model for it to understand that it has tags. So let us just first do that. Inside my bookmark model, I will define a relationship as tags. What does that do? It returns morph to many, and then I do the tag class, okay, and the name as taggable. Okay, so I'll explain you again what is happening. So I'm saying that bookmark has tags. Okay, now what does the relation say? This eloquent relation morphs many tag classes which has the taggable property. Okay, and then obviously the rest of the things like IDs and stuff are something which the ORM does automatically, but we would also need to add the inverse relationship, which is in the tag we need to tell that this tag can belong to bookmarks. And what is the relationship? This is morphed by multiple bookmark classes. Okay, I imported that, and again this is it. The name of this relationship is taggable. So what is the difference? The primary model says morph to many, right? And the main morphing class is morphed by. Okay, this is the only difference. So now if our relationship is correct, what I would be able to do is let's just for some time truncate this table. Okay, and this is fine if I do 11. Okay, and if I now uncomment it, so I have one tag which is Laravel, and why don't we have TypeScript as well, so that we can play around with two. Okay, so this is done. I have two tags. Now what I can do is bookmark, what is that, attach, or rather first it is going to be tags attach 1. Let's see. Yes, so ID 1 is fine. It says tag ID 1 is attached to taggable ID 11, which is a bookmark type. So that means bookmark model with ID 11 has a tag whose ID is 1, and that 1 is Laravel. So if I comment it out now, and let's just say instead of bookmark find, we do with, and in here I add tags. So you can see I am able to load the tags model. Correct? So I have all the ID, title, description and stuff, and then the tag, and the tag has this Laravel attribute. I can even add one more like so. I hope I haven't duplicated the entry here. I did that. Okay, I'll just remove it for now. Okay. And so now you can see we have two tags in here. So yes, I think this is the beauty. We have handled the basic part of the backend code, which talks about creating the database, creating your models so that we can handle our tags model. Okay. Now that we have these things in place, I think if we go to our bookmark controller, right? I'll now open it up, and we have a view function where we are doing the model binding to get the bookmark, right? And if you want to see it in the UI, we are talking about this screen. Come on, we are talking about this screen, right? So let me open up the React developer tool, refresh this page. Okay. Okay, I am running on the minified version, so finally I do need the watch. I could have seen it in this fashion, but you will really not understand anonymous, because when React is running on production mode, these things are everything named as anonymous, so we can't really debug stuff. But now I can do a load like so. Why? We have the model already. We have the instance of the model, but we need to load a relationship. So this is what I'm going to do. Now if I refresh, in here tags is empty because 12 has no tags in it, but this does have two tags, which is the TypeScript tag and the Laravel tag. So I guess from the backend point of view, we are in business. We just need to load and show it in the UI, and then look at how we can do the assignment stuff. So to implement the autocomplete based creation of tags, the first thing which I need to do is create an API where I can search for an existing tag. Now, I don't want tags to be user based. They will be available across the system. So there is no user context. But yes, right now, to start off, I am going to assume that the API for the tags are open. I mean, they don't require authentication, because I will have to then do the entire scaffolding. But why don't we write things down first? Because this is going to be a big piece. So we'll have an idea.text. And what are we trying to do? First thing which we are going to do is create API to search for tags. This is something which our autocomplete widget will use to check if the tags are present. The next thing that we have to do is use the React select component. Okay. The idea is that I should be able to search for tags, for the ones which are available, obviously, and if they are not, I can create one. Okay. And then the last thing is obviously have some kind of authentication to our search API, which we will create. Okay. So these three things we will have to handle, and we will start with the API first. So inside my route, why don't I do I have a tags controller first of all? So apps http, we have a tag controller, right? So we can do a method here called search. I'm taking the request object, although it will be a get URL because I need the request parameter. So post data, I'll do the validation. Okay, like so. And then I'll write a straightforward query. Says class not found. Okay, sorry. So query the tags where, how is our database? It's name, right? So where the name is like, so that was JavaScript. As I told you, recently I've been doing a lot of JavaScript, so they keep coming back every now and then. But yeah, so this is the where condition and then a get. Or maybe, you know what, we'll do a limit with 10 only, so that we're not expecting too many records. It's an autocomplete, so it will kind of diminish in a way. So we'll keep it to a limit of 10 only. I can increase it if required, but yeah, let's go with 10 at first. So in here, I told you we will not keep it as an authenticated URL for now. Right. So route get tags. It will call the tag controller search method. And I'll add the API middleware so that I have basic throttling in place, which is 60 API calls per minute, which is the default value. So now if I come over here, question mark, I think it's name, right? Sorry. No, tag. So tag controller takes tag, tag equals. If I do LA, okay, it says route middle doesn't exist. Is there a spelling mistake? Yes, middleware. Tag controller, I haven't imported it, I guess. Yes. Anything else? Okay. It says set content must be string. Okay. So limit, I'm sorry. So it's limit 10 and then get. I could have done paginate, but I don't want a pagination data. So this should work. So LA gives me Laravel. PH is not giving me PHP. Why is that? Because I don't have PHP. I have type. So that's there. Let me see if I'm able to also do something like, so I created a tag for PHP, Python, Pascal. Okay. So now if I do P, I get this 3. The moment I go the next level, it gives me Python, it gives me PHP. So yes, the API is working as it should. Now, one tip for production is that you may not want this API to work with just one character. I would ideally want at least a maybe 3 character limit, after which the API should be called from the front end, and the backend should also adhere to that. It should respect the length and there should be a validation, but for the sake of implementation, I'll just do that. But yeah, I think when you're deploying it on production, you should have certain kinds of validations and ensure that the API calls are not so frequent, because these kind of API calls can really hit your server hard and consume your resources. API is ready. And now we can look at the implementation of the autocomplete widget. To implement an autocomplete, as I told you, I am going to use React Select. So let me look for that component. So I will be installing this component along with its type definitions. So I will go into my terminal, npm install React Select and types React Select. Okay, so now that we have this in place, I would like to tell you that there is two kinds of things which are available. One is autocomplete, which is async. Here you can make an API call to look for a value which already exists, but in these examples you will see there's no way to create a new one, which will mean if a user wants a new tag, there's no way to do that. To handle that situation, we have a creatable component. Creatable along with async is something which I want to implement, and for that the component is async creatable select. So why don't we add that? So I'll copy this, close out these files because I don't need them actually, and inside my resources, JS, pages, bookmarks, add, I need to import this component. Now, where do I want to show this autocomplete widget? Exactly below the link thing. So over here, I'll have a div. Oops, sorry. I'll just copy this. And I have this component. Now, obviously, we need to get quite a few things before we can actually start working with it. So I'll give you all the details, but so the first thing which we need to do is the value should be stored somewhere in the state, right? So why don't we do something like state has tags, right? And these tags can now be an array. So over here, value is state tags. Okay, this is done. The next thing that we want to do is there's a thing about default options. Okay, why do we need default options? When we are, let's say, doing an edit, there can be a possibility that there are tags which are already available with that bookmark, correct? So we need to show them. So we will have something called default options in our component so that we can handle it. Now, default options is something which is an array where I can have something like label Amitav, value Amitav, and something like this. However, the only problem here is, let me show you, because we are doing TypeScript, right? This component expects a value type options. Okay, this value type is something which is defined in our React Select. It's a type of option which it expects. So let me open it up. So we have value, which is of type value type. Okay, and it has option type in it, which is a label and a string. So can you see this? Right? So it expects a value in that format, and hence what I will do is this default options, I have to do a type definition for it. So value type, and then I'll show you one more thing. Again, this is purely because I'm doing TypeScript. If you are not doing TypeScript, you can potentially skip this. But yeah, I would suggest you go through this because it helps in development, as I have shown you in this series many times. Okay. Also, one more thing, if for some reason you are stuck, although it's a shortcut, but I will still tell you that sometimes you may want to focus on what you're doing and get away from these things. So you can make this strict as false, and a lot of things will start working by just using any. Okay, any is a catch-all where if you are not very sure about the type of object or type which you are expecting on stuff, you can use any. But I haven't done that, and that's the reason I'm showing you this. So value has option type base. So what I am trying to do here is option type base. Okay, this is okay. I think what I can do is interface I select option extends this, and it can be empty. Extends, not exports. Okay, and I will use this. Okay, why is it complaining still? Oh yes, I need a true over here as well. Okay, I could have done this here. I think both of them are same pretty much, and it will behave in a same way because the value is expecting value type with option type base and boolean. But if I want to add something else in here, I will still be able to do it with my own type definition, which is an extension of the option type database. That's the only reason I'm doing it. So I have this default options which is available here, and now I want to add a few more, how do you say, directives over here so that this is working. So is multi is something which I would like to add. It allows me to use multiple values. Okay, do multi select basically, and I'll have to implement a few methods so that the behaviors are being captured. One is on change. Okay, on change, what does it have? If you hover, it has value and it has action. Okay, so I'll just copy that. Again, we can use the I select option which we have created because on change is expecting similar kind of thing. But for action, I'll just copy this. So on change, I'll have value, which is of type value type I select option, which we had defined on top, and action. Let me see. And then, okay, it's still action meta quick fix imported from React. It is still complaining for on change. On change, I have value action meta. Those two doesn't make any change difference actually. But why is on change a problem? I think it is because of this. No, it doesn't have a comma. So why is it squawking? I really don't understand. Let me see. I also have one more method which is load options, which I need to define. Okay, so now I think it is gone. Load options, we have value. I'll just do console log value for now. But as you can see, the default component is now not showing any error. So we might be able to render it. Let's just see. Okay, no luck. Why is that? Are we showing any error? No, we don't. That's interesting. Is my watch working? Yes, it is. So I have the state. For some reason, the state is not updated. Bookmark add page. Am I on the correct component first of all? Bookmark add page. Yes, this is all correct. If I do tags over here, no, something is not right. Am I doing it on a wrong component? Bookmark add. Doesn't look like the case. Okay, so just to let you know, if sometimes code doesn't work based on what you're expecting and it seems to be very silly, just try and restart and things does work. So I just stopped my watch and ran it again and things were back to normal. So I have no options in here, which is fine. I have default options, and let me see if on change also nothing is coming up. And the reason for that will be, so what all have we done? We have added value, we have default options, but we haven't told this component from this data, right? What is going to be the key which it can use to show the select list? That is important. Get option label. So I will destructure the, how do you say, label, okay, and get option value equals e dot value. Okay, so the element is, I mean, the data is present, the entire row which we have. Why is it not coming? So default options is default options. This is fine. So this is my label, this is my value, and yeah, it should have worked. And the load options, the values are being consoled, so this is not a problem. The only thing is I expected the default value to come up. Default options. Okay, so I think what has happened is because I have binded the value, let me change it over here. For some time, if I just empty that thing and maybe comment it out, it's still not working. Just give me a moment, let me see. So okay, so I was kicking myself for doing such a silly mistake. The problem is default default options, and that is why the options were not coming up. However, I'm still surprised that it didn't give any error. I think because the prop was not defined, and so it was not even taking it up. But anyways, so this is something. So this is the default options which I have added to the default options method as well, and in the tags. So but now basically the value is set with the default thing. Okay, so this will, or rather this can be the value which you can bring from Ajax or something, which we are going to look at. But the first thing which I'm going to do is try to get hold of the data and see if I can do autocomplete. So on change, I will get the, how do you say, the data which is new, and I'll have to add it to the state. So you can see I have tags, and I want to have that in the tags itself, whatever is being added. So how do I do that? I can do something like set state. Sorry, I need the value and action. And what I will do is set state the entire state, and then tags can be value. Why is it complaining? Oh, my bad. This is like this. Okay. And this is a TypeScript error. I can understand why this is happening. I think our the use state is not properly defined. It is complaining, is it? Undefined. Right. Okay. No problem. So this is happening because the set state is not able to understand the type of data which is inside tags. And if you have some error like this, what you can do is you define your state. Okay, in the use state thing, you define what kind of state you are using so that these problems don't come up. So interface I state, which is an interface. Okay, so what all things do we have? It's something like this, and then you basically put this I state over here. And now if I come here, you can see the error is gone. So again, as I told you, what happens is when we are mutating the state, okay, it was not able to recognize what kind of data, what type of data tags is. Although in the state, initially we have defined it as default options. So at that point, what you can do is explicitly define this using an interface and things should work properly. So let's go back to our application and see. Okay, everything is loading properly and this is fine. So we are able to on change, do certain things, but we haven't yet implemented the API call. Okay, we have binded the value to the state. We are taking the label, the value based on the default dummy variable which we have, but we haven't yet loaded options. And this is where we will make the API call. So just get rid of this. We will use fetch. So return a fetch. Sorry. In this, our API will be API/tags $search equals the value which is coming, because this is the text which we will get being searched for. Then how a typical fetch works, it gives you the response in a then, and then you can do response.json. It's a function, sorry. And in the next block, we get the data. So for some time, let's just do a log of the data and see what is coming up. So, okay. It says create P, and the console is still not here, but I can add things. So my on change is working and it is adding to the state, but load options has value. This is interesting. It's giving a 302. I think it is because I need to do tag, right? What is that I have added in the controller? It's tag. So in here I'll have tag, and now let me try by refreshing. So P is giving me 3 options, as you can see, although I haven't added that to the data property, but I do get the data inside here. So now the only thing that I need to do is send it back. But one thing is the select option is looking for a format which is label and value. But my data is very different. It has name. Then how do I do this? Okay, so what I will do, I'm planning to do basically is I'll return data and I'll map over it and I'll change the definition. Okay, so tag. What I can do is say, how do I do this? Return. Let me first write it down in a normal way. So label is going to be tag dot name, comma, value is tag dot name. I need to define it, so I'll just say name is a string which is inside a bracket, because like so, and this should work. Let me just first confirm this. So I do PHP and I get PHP over here, and in my value also, and if I go into my state tags, you can see I have Amitav and I have PHP. And if I remove one, it just has PHP. So this piece is working, but what have I done here? So I got the data, I ran a map function and I changed it. Now I can do a little bit of shorthand as well, if I'm not wrong. So which is, what I can do is over here is the data, I can define that it is an array of string which has property name of type string. And then the code becomes a little simpler. Again, it's a personal choice, but in here I will do this will be what? Name. And so I can get rid of these two tags. Okay, so I've just simplified it a bit. This is a kind of destructuring, and let me just confirm that things are working properly and I haven't introduced any bug. So PHP PA, right, and PY. I hope the entire object is properly tagged. Yes, it is. And now if I want to do JavaScript, obviously I don't have JavaScript, so if I now hit enter, you can see it has __ is new property. This will allow me to decide whether this property is already there in the database or not. So I hope you got the overall gist, and like the way we destructured over here, we can also destructure things over here in this thing. For example, I can do label as label, value as value, because we were referencing the E, right? And E has a label. So I destructured it and directly referenced the label, and I said that you return the label. So similarly for value, just makes your code a little cleaner. Now that we have this thing in place, I just realized that I have made one small mistake, which is this component should not be there in the add form, but rather it should be inside our view, because we will only add the tags once we have the preview of the bookmark, the title and description. So we'll refactor it, nothing major. Let me open up my code. This is my add form, correct? We will steal this entire div from here and we'll place it inside the view. So we have card body, we have a div with margin bottom 3. We will add one more which has margin bottom 3, paste it here. Okay, now there will be a lot of things which are not in place, and that's why if you see there are a lot of reds, but nothing to worry. we can cut these two and paste it here. A lot of the errors should go away. As you can see, at least the component is available. Now, next thing is obviously this interface. We'll just cut it from here and paste it here. Default options, let me pick this up as well. However, I have plans to change this, but till then, let's keep everything in place. And obviously now I don't need the tags inside the state, correct? So why don't we do one thing? We'll just have iState which has the tags in it, like so. Remove this because without the iState, our previous code was working without the the tag in it. So let me save and see if there is any error in this component. There's none, and we are using everything in here. There's no unused variables after doing all the refactoring. Here we have still some errors. Let's see why we have those errors. So state, we haven't defined a state in here, obviously because use state is not here. So I'll just steal the code from this component again. I don't want to rewrite it again. So over here, so you see, this is the beauty. If you are writing generic enough code, right, you can very easily repurpose them from one component to another. Okay, and what is this? Okay, so obviously default options. I'll first fix it here, and I still have that error. Why is it so? Because I think I haven't yet told that the state will be iState. Yes. So now everything is properly done. If I now refresh this page, it should work with just the form, and I'll hit unsplash. It is here, and we can see the basic tag in here, right? But as I told you, I need to show the tags which are already there in this bookmarks. Unfortunately, there's none because we haven't added a tag in it. But let's see some of the ones which we have created already. Do I have tags in here? I do. I have two tags. One is, let me see, open it up. One is Laravel and the second is TypeScript. So I think this is one good example of handling the view first, and then we will look at how we can do the update, because whenever we do the update, we will be handling the form coming from the bookmark add as well. Okay, so let's see. I have the tags data in here already, correct? And I want to get those values inside the value field of my component. This is what has the state.tags. So I want some way to get all the tags when the component is loading and assign it to the selected options. So to do that, in a class-based component, we could have done component did mount or will mount, and we could have done it. In a functional component, we have use effect, not use callback. Okay, the use effect is going to work. It's a closure. Okay, first of all, it's a closure, and if I have an empty array, then it is going to run on every state change, so as to say. Okay, and basically on the mount of the component, this will definitely run. So let's see, console.log use effect. Open up the console, and yes, we have one. on these state changes, do we get the console again? We don't. So we are fine over here. Okay. So now what can we do? I know that my bookmark is okay. It says bookmark any. I'll make it as I bookmark because I have already defined my bookmark interface. But my bookmark interface right now doesn't know the tags or the tag interface. So I'll create one more itag.ts. And I have this definition. So inside my iBookmark, after is active, I will have array tags of type itag. Okay. Now this interface is defined. So what I can do in the, where is it? Yes, in here is, let's just say we have a constant bookmark tags equals bookmark. We are already getting the bookmark from the props, if you remember, correct? So it should have the tags right now. So dot tags. Now, because we have said that the tags are array, you can see we have all the functions from a typical array that we get. In here, I can do tag. Let's first console the name. So console.log tag dot, and you can see I get all the properties. So I'll do tag.name. And now if I refresh, it gives me those two consoles. So we are in business. We can now change the value because this is ID and name, correct? We don't need that. We need it in a different way, which is return label is going to be tag.name. Value is going to be tag.name as well. And we will populate that into the state. So set state. The tags should be this. Now refresh. And you can see I have these two. I can remove. I can do Laravel, TypeScript, and they're back into my state. Now, so our view part is being handled. Now, if I go to any bookmark, right, I should be able to see them. This doesn't have any bookmark, is it? Let me see the database. So I have tags and I have taggables. Right, I don't have any. So what are the tags I have? And this is why TypeScript during JavaScript development. Okay, do I have TypeScript? I have TypeScript. Let's just say I have JavaScript as well. Count is 0. I'll copy this. I'm not very worried about the date and time. So I have 6 tags. And what I can do here is for tag ID 6. This is ID 12. Edit row. Oh, I made a mistake. I'll have to clean it up. So 4, tag ID 6, 12, this. And if I now refresh, it has JavaScript. I'll add TypeScript as well, just to ensure that things are properly done. This is 2, so I can make a manual entry again. 6, 2, 12, and this. Hit refresh, and we are able to see that. Okay, so far so good. But now I think I can do a little more destructuring here and make it a little more simple. So tag, first of all, can become tag, right? So first let's take it in the circle brackets or round brackets, and then we can do name. So basically what I'm saying is I'm only picking up the name from the tag, which is coming up as the value over here. And so I can simplify my code here. Right. And one more thing which you can do is maybe, let's say, name. no, not name, label. Okay. So once we do that, we can even do one label of change, which is like this. So what have I done over here? I'm saying that the name is being referenced as label. It's almost as, I'm saying there is an alias for this variable name. And now what happened was label becomes label. And these kind of things we can simplify into just label. And because we have used it over here already, we can do value as label as well. Again, it's personal preference, but it just makes your code a little simpler. So yes, I think the view is now handled. And the next thing which we need to now handle is updating the tags when a user is changing something. To handle the update of the tags, now what I am going to do is create a URL where we will handle the business logic. So let's go into our code and create a new route inside web.php. So I have a new URL, bookmark update, which calls the bookmark controller and has a method handle update, which I am going to create now. And in here, let us first do the very basic step, which is validate. So I need the tags. So it is a required field and I want it in an array format. I also need the ID, which I think I'm not sending right now. Okay, so we will handle that. But the basic idea is we will get these two data points. Once this is done, let's load the bookmark. Okay, and then the rest of the things will follow. However, I do need to make one permission check, which is the user, the current logged in user should be the owner of the bookmark. Okay, this is done. Now, what are we trying to do? If you see, we are going to first get all the new tags. Okay, if there are any. Then get IDs of the existing tags. Right? Then we clear all old associations. And next is insert all new associations. Okay. So this is what we are basically going to do. So to do all of these things inside the controller really doesn't make sense. So what I can do is the bookmark service which we have, maybe we can write a service in there. Let's make it handle bookmark tags, which will basically take the tags as input, post data. I'm sorry, this is a service, right? So I can say array $tags. Okay, and what I will do here is I'll get that service as part of my dependency injection. I think it is already here. Yes. So I'll call this service. This function post data tags, and it should return me the final sets of IDs, because we need to clear all old associations and insert new ones. But the entire logic about what is, get all the new tags, get all the existing IDs, this is something which is going to be done inside our service class. Okay, because this is true for creating a new bookmark as well as when I'm doing it for an existing one. So what is the code for the bookmark service? I will need two collections. One is new tags and the next one is existing tags. Okay, let's just set existing tag names at first, because initially I will get just the names and then I'll have to do a database lookup to get them. Okay, so get all the new tags. How do we do that? I'll do a for each on the tags, and if I have shown you, I'll show you again. So now you will get a sense of what data I'm talking about. This is Amitav, and I do a create, go to components, bookmark page. Okay, this is not what I expected. It should have 3. Let me do it again and see if things are changing. I'll refresh and then testing. Testing is here. So come over here. Okay, I need to check the state. Sorry, my mistake. Inside tags. So you can see I have label JavaScript, TypeScript, which is these two existing ones. But then there's a _ is new true and the label and the value. Correct? And we are interested in this. So if we have this, if this is set, then it means that we have a new tag. So what we will do, we will need to create tag. I'll need to import the model. The name will be tag value. And once this ID is available to me, rather the tag is available to me, why don't we do new tags, push, because it's a collection, I can do push tag like so. So this is going to happen when we have a new tag. Else, the code is very simple. I do existing tag names, push name as tag value. Okay, so I have one collection where I have the entire tags, and there I have the property name, and there's a second collection which is the existing tags where I have the name as well. Okay, so once this is done, why don't we see what kind of data we are getting? Okay, I will return this. But before returning, let's just merge the ones. Return dollar existing tag names, merge dollar new tags, and see what is coming up. So I'm here, it is like so, and then return dollar IDs. Now if I go over here in the form submit, why don't we change our code a little? Okay, so I'll do inertia post for sure, but this time, first of all, I'll make the route dynamic instead of hard-coded one. So bookmark dot update and dot URL, I'll call that method, and in here I need to send two things. One is tags, so the tags will be state dot tags, because that's where we have the entire array of tags, and the ID is bookmark dot ID. All right, and what is going to happen is, because I am returning a JSON output, this is going to show me a pop-up. Correct? So let's see. So it has name, JavaScript, name, TypeScript. This is fine. Why don't we add a new one? New tag. Save. And in here you can see I have a new ID. Okay. Now there's one thing which is a problem in our database structuring. So we will change it, which is our tags can be duplicate. And I don't want that. So what I will do is inside the tags table, string, make it unique. Okay, so I don't have duplicate tag names. That is something which I'll fix at the MySQL level so that it doesn't fail in any way. And for now, I'm doing this through the interface itself because I'm not trying to, how do you say, rerun the migration. There is encoding correlation. Okay, index name. Yeah. All right. So I think now what will happen is I can't create new tag. If I try to do new tag, edit row. Sorry, let me copy the timestamp. I'm too lazy to type so much. So new tag, duplicate entry, right? So the database will not allow, and obviously that means the application will fail as well. So now in here, I think we are returning the IDs. So this piece is working. The only thing which is pending for us is if you again look at the pop-up, if I can somehow get the tag object for JavaScript and TypeScript as well, then we are basically done. We just need then the IDs. So before sending it back, what I will do is existing tag names or existing tags now equals tag where in, because we have multiple names. So where in name, and I'll do existing tag names plug the name, and I'll do get. So it will return me an array of all the names, which is going through a where in condition. I'll get all the tags, and so I'll do tags merge new tags, which will mean now if I refresh and I do new tag 1, okay, there is some problem. Collection get app service line number, where is it? Line number 46 is here. Oh, it should be like this. Okay, so with Inertia, the good thing is, okay, the new this will throw an error. Why don't I delete this? Anyways, these two are not required, so I'll just clean it up, hit save again, and now we have the tag objects, correct? So what do we need to do? We just need to in here do a merge, and after that I just pluck the IDs, correct? Because now we have all the tag instances and I'm only interested in the IDs. So I just plug the IDs and send it back. So the service is ready. It is doing what it was supposed to do. And the controller is getting the IDs in here. Now the controller just needs to do these two things, which is basically clear the old association and add the new association, which in Laravel we can, using the relationship, do with just one function, which is bookmark. We have the model, right? We have already done a bookmark find. So bookmark tags sync and IDs. That's it. With this, what is going to happen is the entire association will be properly done. So let me see. I refresh. Okay, TypeScript, PHP, and I hit enter. Okay, it because the return is not correct, it showed me a pop-up, but you can see I have 3 in here. And in here, in the database, bookmark ID 12 has 3 entries. Okay, that's good. If I remove 2 and hit save, I have only 1 entry. And if you see, I'm refreshing it and it is showing only 1. What about a new one? I have PHP. I have JavaScript. Okay, I don't have JavaScript because it's already there. So if you see, it will not. It is creating. Okay, this is something which I'll have to check. Okay, my spelling is wrong. So JVSCRIPT. Wow, I made a big mistake. Okay, so if I am somehow able to replicate the wrong spelling, it doesn't allow me to add. So it always handles that. But yes, the spelling is wrong. But TypeScript. So I have 3 existing ones and now a new tag. Let's just say blog. Okay, so I save. This is fine. First of all, let's go to the tags table. I have a new entry for blog. Correct? ID is 11. And if I go over here, so now my bookmark 12 has 4 tags, out of which 11 is also there. So now if I refresh or do whatever, this is coming up. So this is nice, right? We have almost created the functionality of the ability for the user to create tags. Now in here, after everything is done, I would ideally need to redirect the user to the current bookmark so that he feels as if the save is done, or maybe I redirect him to some other place. So route bookmark view bookmark should be $bookmark ID. Okay, this is done. So which means now if I try to remove TypeScript from this and hit save, I don't get that pop-up. I come over here, click here, and I can see all the tags. I can empty them and type a new one, save, go to the listing, come over here, and I can still see TypeScript. And the last piece, which is a little bit of handling for both the conditions of update and new, is going to be something which we need to check. So this form, right? This form comes when we are trying to add a bookmark and also when I am viewing a bookmark. So if my bookmark is active, is true, then basically, if it is a not this condition, then I will do this, else I'll do this. Okay, so this way what is going to happen is, let's just try and see if we are able to get the entire flow. So I'm on the bookmark listing page. I go to bookmark add, unsplash, hit enter, and this is fine. Samsung PHP. Okay, save. This is created. If I go over here, okay, for some reason, all right, I haven't saved the data in here, and that's why it created a problem. So let's handle that as well. So in make active, we are sending the ID and we need to send the tags as well. So state dot tags, correct? And over here, we are making this active. And what we can do is, because we have the handle bookmarks thing, I can run this. So I'll get the IDs. The tags are required. Let's pick up this validation rule. We are duplicating few stuff. We will need to fix them because validations are getting duplicated. But right. So this is the page where we are making the bookmark active, right? So I send the ID. It should exist. Then it finds the ID, current user ID and auth ID, and then it makes it active. And then I look for the IDs, which is fine. And I think if I just run these 2 lines of code, I should be done. So let's try our luck again and let's see if we are able to do it. So bookmark add, unsplash. Now I will do Samsung, PHP, and if everything is correct, it got saved, right? Let me see the database tags. No, it has not. So what is the problem? Inside the network, let me clear it out and see first of all what is happening. The request has just the ID. Haven't I refreshed? Okay. Let's just see. Like so. Food. Hit save. Okay. Undefined variable bookmark service. Wow. That is so unique to me. I haven't added the dependency. So let me do that. Everything was fine. I just didn't anticipate that this is the mistake I'm going to make. So I'll clear this out again, hit save, and I think this time we have it right. So everything is working properly. If I add any new URL, let me try something else. What is it? I hope this has enough data. I'll copy this URL, bookmark add. Okay, it's a long image. What is it about? I love the convenience of CSS in JS, especially. Okay, so I'll have CSS as a tag, JavaScript, JS, and anything else, maybe TypeScript, one existing tag to add it, and then we do save. Come over here, and yes. So now certainly I want to remove TypeScript, hit save, it's updated, and everything is just working beautifully as I expected. So yeah, that takes care of our last feature in my bookmark app. So if you see the second video, I wanted to capture all the features which is listed over here. So the ability for user to add tags, this is also complete. And I think this is already quite big. So the part which I was thinking about of deploying through Envoy, maybe that is something which I will pick up later on. So yes, this is how right now I'm going to end the second part. We have covered a lot of things in this. So do let me know, what do you feel about these new features? Is there anything which is difficult for you to understand from first part or maybe from second part? So do comment, share your thoughts, and yeah, do subscribe and don't forget to share the video on social media so that it gets more traction. Thanks for watching. Bye.